Here we go once again. How are we all? Right. So, once again, it is time for my favourite part of the day from the Crow's Nest for the 27th of May 2019. Today we're talking about my favourite fairy tale books. Well, not only mine, but also some of our friends who have left feedback, and and also I've got some feedback from my time slip episode. So we've got a lot going on this week, so we need to sort of jump straight into it. So I guess the first question I have for everyone, and I asked this last week, what is a fairy tale to you? And my where I came from, or what I thought was a fairy tale, is it had to be something fantastical, and it didn't have to necessarily be a old and folkloric. I just think it has to have an element of the fantastical about it. Excuse me. So when we get on to my favourite books, some of them are going to be sort of anthology short fairy tale books, but some are going to be sort of novels, and I know I'm probably flirting with controversy here, but yeah, that's kind of where we go. And we're about to, my old friend the train's about to go by. I should time this the same every day, shouldn't I, so that the trains come through at the same time. Anyway, so before we kick off, I've got a little bit of feedback here from YouTube. Excuse me. And this is about my time slip episode the other day. And this bit of feedback is from Halo Nainco. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Links to his YouTube channel is below. Anyway, he says, here's a short story about my little time slip, if you could even call it that. When I was 8 years old, my family looked after a Shih Tzu puppy that was maybe a couple of months old. I named him Rascal. He could only walk on his front paws, and his back legs dragged behind him. We took him to the vet and came out to find that he was born without a hip or kneecaps. My parents decided to have the puppy put down. I was totally heartbroken. It was hard telling the little one goodbye. About a week later, I was watching TV with my parents. My parents were laughing at the program when suddenly everything around me stopped. The TV froze. My parents weren't moving. The clock stopped. Not even a hair on my parents' head budged. The room fell silent as time stood still. Then, on the couch in front of me, I saw my puppy. It glowed like a radiant light, so much so that all other light around him became blurred and dim by comparison. Only my puppy looked in focus. He was all better. He was walking on his hind legs, wagging his tail. He was happy. I wanted to pet him, but there was a strange force I cannot describe that kept my hand at a distance away from him. The same distance as the light emitting from him. I giggled and told my puppy that I loved him. While I was giggling, my puppy disappeared. The lighting in the room returned to normal. The clock ticked again. The TV resumed, and so did my parents' laughter. I shook my dad's arm. "Daddy, Daddy, did you see that?" He nodded. "Yes, the scene was hilarious, wasn't it?" I shook my head. "No, I meant Rascal. My puppy, did you see him?" Dad shook his head and tried to address my question as if I was asking out of grief or sorrow. He couldn't accept that I saw my dead dog. But hey, Doesn't matter. It made me happy. Maybe dogs really do go to heaven, and my little pup was an angel. It is my reality, and no one's convincing me otherwise. I've told other people in my family about this too. I was happy when my aunt believed me. What a lovely little story. I mean, tragic, but lovely. Yeah, what's to say? Dogs don't go to heaven. And I think just as likely, all animals and plants and things, I think they all have a spirit about them. And I think it would be a hard taskmaster who decided that only humanity went to heaven. Don't you think? And that's my opinion on it anyway. So over to you guys. What do you think? Do you think animals go to heaven? Or do you think maybe it's just us? So anyway, as you can see, I'm now making my little window a bit smaller, and we're about to talk about my favourite stories. Oh, and thank you very much for the feedback. That was amazing, by the way. So, I'm going to start off with the complete Grimm's Fairy Tales. There goes our friend the train once again. I mean, what can be said about this? I would suggest you try and get as near to the, if you obviously if you can't read the original, get as close to the original translation as possible, because there are translations out there that are somewhat sanitized, I guess, but there's nothing like reading the originals. And oh, there goes my phone. Look at that. Someone from Dublin. Well, I'm going to put that on. I'm going to put that over there. There's nothing like the absolute original. You get the full force of it there. And yeah, some of these stories are not for children. Just remember that. Well, I think they are for children, but they're not Disney-fied. They're not cleaned up. They're not happy. Some of them are really grim. Pun intended, not intended. I don't know. Let's go on to one of my favourite, Hans Christian Andersen. So there is debate about whether his stories are fairy tales or whether they're just fun little tales. But I think they embody everything that is a wonderful fairy tale. He is, I think, an amazing author, and a lot of his stories were based on all the stories. So I say, check out some of his works. Again, try and get his works rather than some of the retellings. Disney, I'm looking at you. Gosh, I really don't like Disney, do I? Yeah. So there we go. So on to where I'm going to start flirting with controversy. Wind in the Willows, my favourite all-time book. Now it is a book, but it is a fairy tale. Talking animals, the countryside, the magic. I mean the oft overlooked parts, and everyone has a character in there that they feel a kinship with. For me, it was always Mowgli. I always I loved him, and I used to pretend that my bunk beds growing up were like the bunk beds he had built into the wall in Mole End. So top class there. As far as the books, if you've never read it, please check it out because it is an amazing book, Wind in the Willows. On to something a little bit more modern, the Spiderwick Chronicles. I think these are absolutely amazing, and we've got all the books. We read them to our son when he was young. We read them to him now. We'll be reading them to our daughter. And you see this little picture. Oh, I don't know if you can. Let me just move this around a little bit. Let's see if I can get this so that you can see it. No, it's hang on. Oh, so I don't know if you can see a little picture there of the woman there. George, our son, was convinced that was a picture of Mummy. There we go. He used to say that was Mummy in the book, and I think Amy was quite chuffed about that, to be honest. Okay, on to our next one. Terry Pratchett. Oops, let's accept that. And, of course, the Discworld stories. How can you not say that these are not fairy tales? They are beautiful. They are creative, crazy, just absolutely amazing. And if you haven't at least read one, you're really missing out. Just get in there and check them out. So onto something a little bit closer to home for the Isle of Wight. Tales and Legends of the Isle of Wight by Abraham Elder Esquire. Now, this book, freely available. I'll have links. Check it out, read it. I mean, the stories here are amazing. I myself have found myself getting lost in them, and I've retold them, many of them, in the middle of working through just finding the places where these stories are set, and also finding that there are different versions of these stories, not only the ones here, but please check it out. And we're starting to run out of time here. Well, how are we going for time? Let me have a look here at my little clock. We're already at 13 minutes, so we need to scoot through a little bit more feedback. So some of our friends have sent through their favourites, and here we have, and this one here from Therese Taylor, The Princess and the Curdie, Princess and the Goblin are her favourites, and available. And also the Puffin Book of Magic Verse. Oh, and so I'll search out some links for those, so they look really cool. I can't say I've read any of those actually. Oh, actually no, Puffin Book of Magic Verse. I have a copy of that. Okay, let's see. We've got a few more here. We may as well read them. Merlin's Magic by Helen Clare, an out-of-print book that I've searched for since childhood. Well, let's see if we can find it. If we can help our friend Master's Eye here to find this book, we should. If anyone knows where we can get it, let's let her know. Sarah Connor. Sarah, I have to say, and I must apologise. I keep wanting to say "Gone with me if you want to live," but I couldn't hold it any longer. The best one I've read for a long time is Folk. By Zoe Gilbert. It feels like ancient folklore, but it's new and nuanced. Amazing book. I keep banging on about it. Well, I have to check it out. Thank you so much. Nell Latimer says, my grandpa always used to read that to me. Which story is that? Brilliant story voice. It was perfect. I'm not sure which one you're talking about there. Hang on. Wind in the Willows. Wind in the Willows. You are talking about Wind in the Willows. Yes, absolutely. My dad used to read it to me, and I have amazing, just wonderful stories. I read it to my children as well. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you once again for sharing this morning with me, or what's left of the morning. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about witches and witchcraft and magic and all that sort of stuff. If you have anything that you want me to talk about, please let me know. If you have anything you want me to plug, please let me know. Speaking of which, I do have something that I do want to plug for one of our friends. Where is it? See, I should have been a little bit more organised. Every day, I am just so disorganised. I don't know why you guys put up with me. So let's scroll through quickly, see if we can find it. Here we go. Mythical Britain. Mythical Britain by Mythical Britain has saw a book coming out, King Arthur's Death. He's really looking for people to help him out. Eight more people support is needed. I put my money where my mouth is. As I said, anything that I ever say, I pass over to you guys to maybe put a few quid in. I always put my money where my mouth is. So please check this out. Anyway, thank you very much. If you're on YouTube, as I always say, please subscribe. Please like if you like it. Everyone else, please leave your feedback. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.